Imagine standing on a farm where the soil is so hard that rain does not sink in, seeds cannot take root, and even the wind seems to carry away the last memory of life. To most people, this field would look finished, dead, abandoned, beyond repair. But in Burkina Faso, farmers looked at land like this and saw something different. They saw a puzzle. They saw water being wasted, soil being lost, and old knowledge being forgotten. Then, instead of waiting for expensive machines, giant irrigation systems, or outside miracles, they picked up simple tools and began digging small holes in the earth. Not deep wells, not modern engineering projects. Just hand-dug pits, stone lines, manure, seeds, patience, and a very stubborn belief that dead soil might not be dead at all. And what happened next is one of the most powerful land restoration stories in the Sahel. Not because it was perfect, not because it solved every problem, but because it proved that sometimes the future of farming begins with listening to the ground. If stories like this make you see the planet differently, follow the channel, because we explore the places where nature, people, and survival meet in the most unexpected ways. Burkina Faso sits in one of the most unforgiving farming zones on Earth. In the north and central parts of the country, the Sahel does not offer farmers many easy choices. Rain can arrive late, fall violently, disappear too quickly, or fail almost completely. The soil, once exposed by drought, overgrazing, tree cutting, and years of pressure, can become sealed like a crust. When rain finally comes, it does not gently feed the ground. It races across the surface, carrying away fine soil, seeds, and hope. For a farmer, this is more than an environmental problem. It is the difference between a harvest and hunger, between staying on ancestral land and leaving it behind. During the drought years of the 1970s and 1980s, many parts of the Sahel were pushed to the edge. Fields that once produced millet and sorghum became hard, bare, and almost impossible to cultivate. Some experts saw land degradation. Families saw something even more frightening: the slow collapse of their way of life. But the real tragedy was not only that the soil was dry, it was that the rain, when it came, was being lost. The water was there for a short moment, but the land could no longer hold it, and that single problem changed everything. In many dry lands, the problem is not only lack of rain, it is what happens to the rain after it falls. When soil becomes compacted, bare and lifeless, it stops behaving like a sponge. It behaves more like a roof. Water hits it, runs across it, gathers speed, and escapes. The faster it moves, the more damage it does. It strips away loose particles, cuts tiny channels into the field, and leaves behind an even harder surface. Farmers can plant seeds, but if the seed sits in dry crust and the water never stays long enough, nothing happens. This is why dead soil can become a trap. Every failed season makes the next season harder. Less vegetation means less shade. Less shade means hotter soil. Hotter soil means less organic life. Less organic life means weaker structure. Weaker structure means more runoff. And more runoff means even less water for the next crop. It is a cycle that feels almost impossible to break. But farmers in Burkina Faso began attacking the cycle at its weakest point. They did not try to command the sky. They tried to slow down the water. The technique is called Zaï, and at first glance it looks almost too simple to matter. Farmers dig small planting pits into hard, degraded soil. Into those pits they place organic matter, such as manure or compost. Then they plant seeds where the water and nutrients can concentrate. To someone driving past, it may look like a field covered in tiny scars, but each hole is doing several jobs at once. It catches rainwater before it runs away. It traps dust and soil carried by wind and runoff. It places fertility exactly where the crop needs it. It creates a small protected pocket where a seed has a better chance of surviving the first brutal weeks. Most importantly, the organic matter brings life back into the soil. Manure does not just feed plants. It feeds insects, fungi, microbes, and termites. And in a place where the ground has become sealed and lifeless, that underground activity can be the beginning of recovery. The pits are not magic, they are labor. They require timing, patience, and physical effort under intense heat, but they change the rules of the field. Instead of one big dry surface losing water, the farm becomes thousands of tiny water traps. One of the most surprising heroes in this story is not a person. It is the termite. In many places, people think of termites only as pests, but in degraded dryland soil, termites can become underground engineers. When manure and organic matter are placed inside Zaï pits, termites are attracted to the food source. As they move through the hard soil, they create tiny tunnels. Those tunnels allow water to infiltrate deeper. Instead of disappearing across the surface, they also help break up compacted layers, mix organic material into the ground, and create pathways for roots. This is where the story becomes bigger than planting crops. The farmers were not simply feeding millet. They were restarting a living system. Soil is not just dirt. Healthy soil is structure, air, water, organic matter, roots, microbes, insects, and minerals interacting together. When that system collapses, a field can look dead. But when even a small amount of life returns, the soil can begin to rebuild itself. The Zaï pit is not a miracle hole. It is an invitation. It invites water to stay, roots to enter, insects to work, and biology to come back. Zaï pits were not the only tool. Farmers also used stone bunds, sometimes called contour stone lines. These are simple rows of stones, placed across the slope of a field. They may not look impressive, but their purpose is powerful. Slow the water down. When rainwater rushes downhill, the stones interrupt the flow. Behind them, water spreads out, loses speed, and has more time to soak into the soil. Sediment carried by runoff begins to settle. Seeds can collect there. Over time, small lines of stones can become lines of fertility. Grass grows. Roots stabilize the soil. More organic matter accumulates. The field begins to hold itself together. This is the opposite of the modern instinct to fix everything with speed and scale. Here the solution works because it is slow. Slow water is useful water. Slow water feeds roots. Slow water builds soil. And in the Sahel, slowing water can mean the difference between a field that dies after the first storm and a field that slowly comes back. One of the most famous names connected to this restoration movement is Yakuba Sawadogo, a farmer from Burkina Faso often associated with bringing attention back to improved Zaï techniques. His story is powerful because it did not begin in a laboratory or a government office. It began with observation, failure, and persistence. He experimented with traditional planting pits, improved them with organic matter, adjusted their size, and used them not only for crops but also to encourage tree growth. At first, ideas like this were not always celebrated. In many communities, doing something different can look foolish before it looks wise. But as trees began to survive, as fields became more productive, and as the land showed signs of recovery, the results became harder to ignore. Sawadogo became known internationally, but the deeper lesson is not that one man saved an entire country. That would be too simple, and it would not be fair to the many farmers who also adapted, shared, and improved these techniques. The real lesson is that local knowledge, when tested and refined, can become a serious environmental technology. Not because it is old, and not because it is romantic, but because it works with the limits of the land, instead of pretending those limits do not exist. Once crops survive, another transformation becomes possible. Trees. In drylands, trees are not just decoration. They shade the soil, reduce surface temperatures, drop leaves that become organic matter, slow the wind, protect young plants, and create microclimates. Their roots can reach deeper layers of moisture and help hold the soil in place. In some restored fields, farmers protect naturally regenerating tree shoots instead of cutting them away. This approach, often linked with farmer-managed natural regeneration, can turn scattered stumps and buried root systems into living trees again. A field with trees is not the same as a field without them. The ground beneath a tree is cooler. Animals find shelter, leaves fall, insects return. The soil receives a slow, steady supply of organic matter. And when enough of these small changes happen across a landscape, the land begins to behave differently. It does not become a rainforest. That is not the goal. It becomes a more resilient dryland farm, where crops, trees, water, and soil support each other, just enough to make survival more possible. But this story should not be told like a fairy tale. Bringing dead soil back to life is hard. Zaï pits require labor, and lots of it. Someone must dig each pit. Someone must gather manure or compost. Someone must move stones for bunds. Someone must plant, monitor, repair, and repeat. In poor communities, time and labor are never free. A farmer who spends days preparing a degraded field is taking a risk. If the rain fails completely, the work may not pay off that season. If livestock enter the field, young plants can disappear overnight. If land rights are insecure, farmers may hesitate to invest years into soil they might lose. And not every technique works everywhere. Sandy soils, slopes, rainfall patterns, access to organic matter, and community cooperation all matter. This is why the Burkina Faso story is inspiring. But it should not be exaggerated. Farmers did not erase drought. They did not defeat climate change. They did not turn the Sahel into paradise. What they did was more realistic, and in some ways more important. They made damaged land useful again, in places where many people had given up. The reason this story matters far beyond Burkina Faso is that land degradation is not only an African problem. Across the world, soils are being pushed harder by drought, heat, erosion, poor management, and climate stress. Many places are discovering the same truth. Water alone is not enough if the soil cannot hold it. Fertilizer alone is not enough if the biology is gone. Planting trees alone is not enough if seedlings die in the first dry season. Restoration is not one action, it is a system. Slow the water, feed the soil, protect the roots, keep the ground covered. Give farmers a reason to invest in the future. What happened in Burkina Faso shows that restoration does not always begin with high technology. Sometimes it begins with a farmer asking, where does the rain go? Why does the seed fail? What would happen if we gave water one more minute to stay? These questions sound small, but they can change landscapes. The most powerful part of this story is not the technique itself, it is the patience behind it. A Zaï pit is small, a stone line is simple, a tree seedling is fragile. None of them looks like a revolution on the first day. But land restoration rarely announces itself with drama. It appears slowly, in the first patch of grass behind a stone line, in the first crop that survives a dry spell, in the first tree that shades soil that used to burn under the sun, in the first farmer who decides the field is worth trying again. That is what makes Burkina Faso's story so different from many environmental promises. It is not about waiting for a perfect solution. It is about using what is available, learning from failure, and rebuilding the relationship between people and land one season at a time. For American viewers, this may feel far away, but the lesson is close. When soil dies, communities suffer. When soil recovers, possibilities return. Food becomes more secure. Water becomes more useful. Trees become allies. And a landscape that looked like the end of the story becomes the beginning of another one. The farmers of Burkina Faso did not bring dead soil back to life by pretending the land was easy. They did it by understanding why it was failing. They saw that rain was escaping, fertility was disappearing, and the living structure of the soil had been broken. Then they used some of the simplest tools imaginable to reverse that process. Holes to catch water, manure to feed life, termites to open the ground, stones to slow runoff, trees to protect the field, and time to let the system heal. This is not a perfect solution, and it is not a quick one, but it is real. It reminds us that restoration is not always about controlling nature. Sometimes it is about giving nature the conditions to work again. In a world searching for big answers, Burkina Faso's farmers offer a humble one. Start where the water falls. Start where the soil is broken. Start small, and do not assume that dead land has forgotten how to live. If this story changed the way you look at dry lands, stay with the channel, because the next place we explore may look impossible at first, too.